Hello and welcome to another Lakehead International Live. On today's webinar, we are doing another Wednesday weekly. So we are joined by our graduate admissions team, and we'll also be joined by our undergraduate admissions team shortly. They'll be joining just a few minutes late today. Either way, we'll be happy to answer questions to both levels of study today. Before we dive into today's session, start answering those important questions of yours. I'll talk about the Lakehead International Live series and chat about how we're going to stay connected with you even when it wraps up later on this week. So for those of you who may have joined previously this week, our previous webinar so far was our Monday meetup where we did the Stay Connected, Stay Engaged. So you learned how to, of course, get connected to us and stay connected with us, but also engage with current students, fellow students, as well as all the staff here that are here and happy to support you throughout your Lakehead journey. Yesterday, we did our Transition Tuesday with our immigration advisor, Jennifer Hay, and we had some great conversations over there. We chatted quite a bit about study permits, immigration, visas, all that sort of stuff. And those recordings will both be up on our YouTube channel later on today, if not tomorrow. You can check those out. And as always, we do send out regular emails at the end of each week with those recording links. Upcoming tomorrow, we won't be live for our Transition Thursday. We've wrapped up those series, and then we'll be back for Friday, and our last Faculty Friday to cap it off for the summer here is Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies. It is a rebroadcast of a recording, so keep that in mind, but don't worry, I will be live behind the scenes as well as a few other Lakehead experts. And we'll be answering your questions. So if you want to join, if your department or your program's in that faculty, you can certainly join that session, hope to learn some more, but also ask any questions you feel necessary. Without further ado, though, I'll chat about things to remember throughout today's session. One of the most important things is if we encourage you to send us an email, please note whether or not you are an undergraduate student or a graduate student. So an undergraduate student is someone who's pursuing one of our bachelor programs. If you're a graduate student, you could potentially be pursuing one of our graduate diplomas, one of our master's programs, or a PhD. So the undergraduate email is intl.admission@lakeheadu.ca. Our graduate email is gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. If you do have questions on today's session, if you're joining us over on the Zoom platform, you can use the Q&A function. You can submit those to us at any point, including you can start submitting questions now. I see a few have popped up already. If you're joining us over on our Facebook live stream, you can comment on that video, and our Lakehead expert Chen is behind the scenes helping answer questions over there, as well as feeding us questions onto the Zoom webinar. If you're watching this as a recording, whether it be on our YouTube channel or whether it's still on our Facebook Live recording, you can comment on that video, and either platform will get that notification, and we'll be happy to answer your question in a timely manner. Last but not least, something I always encourage students to do, and most importantly now, as we look to wrap up the Lakehead International Live series, where we won't be doing a webinar every day, unfortunately, we certainly encourage you to stay connected with us, though, and follow us on our social media channels. We are on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. So you can find us at Lakehead University on YouTube, and our Instagram and Facebook handles are Lakehead International. We'll post important updates out of the university on there, as well as we'll provide you a sneak peek into Lakehead University and university life. So without further ado, I will head over to the Q&A, and I'll start reading some of these questions out, and we'll dive right into it. So the first question is from Yash. It says, I don't know if there has been anyone answered previously or not, but anyway, is there any update for the January intake, whether it will be online or not? And unfortunately, we do not have an update for the January intake quite yet. We don't anticipate an update for some time still. Right now, Lakehead University, as well as the public health authorities within Canada, as well as the federal government, are monitoring the COVID-19 crisis, the global crisis, very closely, and making key decisions to ensure that the public health is #1 interest. And also for Lakehead University, we want to ensure that our staff, our students, and our faculty and their safety is at the #1 interest to us. So please keep that in mind. We won't be making that decision until we are confident that we know exactly what the current situation looks like for COVID-19. And of course, if you are an applicant, you'll receive updates in your email, both your personal or your Lakehead email. If you're not an applicant quite yet, but you're interested in Lakehead, that's where I certainly encourage you to either sign up to join our mailing list or just follow us on our social media channels, and we'll send out those important updates there. Again, though, that decision has not been made, so please stay tuned for that. So the next question we have is, hi, I've requested for my fall admission to the winter term. When is the last deadline for registration for graduate studies? So I'll pass this one over to Sue in graduate studies, and she can chat about winter registration for students entering in January 2021.
Hi there. The registration has not opened yet for winter 2021 for graduate students. It will keep an eye on your email. Again, once you are made eligible to register, you will get an email and further details then. We're waiting to wrap up the fall registration, which will end on September 21st. So keep an eye on your email. It will happen. We're just trying to get all of our fall students kind of in place first. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue. So the next question we have is, hi, can you please tell me when we can fly to Canada? I'm taking September fall. So it sounds like you're joining us in just a few short weeks to start your courses. Unfortunately, we don't have an update. It's not a decision held within Lakehead's power, unfortunately. It is a Canadian government or federal government decision. So our Border Security Office, or CBSA, they will be making that decision as to when borders can reopen fully. Right now, if students are required to be on campus, so if you are a student that has to complete on-campus research, for example, there is opportunities for you to request a letter from Lakehead University that would then provide that exemption to get to Canada and travel into Canada. And that only is possible if you do currently have your study permit prior to the March 18, 2020 deadline. If you need more information about that, I certainly encourage you to connect with our International Student Services team. I will get my colleague Patrick Carr to put their general email in there, or maybe I'll get him to put Sarah Melvin's email in there, SS coordinators, and she'll be happy to help you with that process if you are looking to receive a travel exemption letter, provided that you are truly required to be here in Canada, whether it's on our Orillia or Thunder Bay campus, to complete your studies. However, to follow up and kind of go back to the original question, can you tell me when we can fly to Canada? Unfortunately, we don't have a firm deadline yet, but I do encourage you to follow CBSA on Twitter. They do have regular updates on that account. The next question we have is, hello, should I pay tuition to be able to register? I want to know when the last day for tuition payment for the winter term is. So with tuition payments, tuition is applied to a student account upon registration. So how that works is that once students register for their courses or for their program, there's a few different methods there. After that, our accounts office will receive notification that you've added courses to your student account, and they will apply the applicable fees. So if you are a full-time student, they'll apply the full tuition. If you were to take courses on a part-time basis or register at a part-time level, you would be charged for each course, depending on how many courses, of course, that you were registered for. So with that being said, upon registration, that's when your tuition will be due, and then you'll have a few business days to make that payment. If you do need to connect with our accounts office, we do have a dedicated international accounts officer. His name is Chris Gallinger, and he'd be happy to work through that process with you and let you know exactly how to make those tuition payment fees.
Jordan, I'm just going to interject for a moment. For graduate studies, it's just slightly different for tuition. So their tuition fees, it's a flat fee. It doesn't matter how many courses they take. It's a per term fee. So the first fees for fall were due August 15th, unless you haven't registered yet, and then they become due upon registration. And for the winter term, for graduate students, the payment deadline is December 15th. So just to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I apologize. My reference, of course, was more so to undergrad, as I did my undergrad at Lakehead, so I have a really good knowledge about that tuition payment system. But thanks for adding that, Sue. The next one I have there is, I have moved my graduate admissions from fall to winter semester. Is there anything that I have to do in this situation, e.g. registration or other necessary tasks? That's a really great question. I'll pass that one over to Sue.
Anyone who has deferred to winter from fall, I would really appreciate a little bit of patience. I understand you have a lot of questions. We are trying very, very hard to get all of our fall students in order first before we kind of move on to our winter students. We do have a lot of time. It's looking like the winter term will be online still. So, I mean, there's we want you to start the process of your visas, and we are working very, very diligently, trust me, very diligently to get all of the deferral requests. I'm sure you can understand the volume of these requests that we're looking at. So I do appreciate your patience, and keep monitoring your Lakehead email. That is the biggest advice I can give you. Keep monitoring your Lakehead email. And if you do email us for questions at gstudent@lakeheadu.ca, I please recommend your patience as well. If you just send multiple emails over and over asking for information, we will get to your question as soon as we possibly can. We are working very, very diligently. We are working overtime to make sure that everybody gets processed and everybody is in line. So again, just keep an eye on that Lakehead email, and we will do our best to get you all the information that you need.
For sure. And also something to note there with that is if students have sent one email and then they're waiting for a response and they reply to the same email with another question, or if they reply to that email asking for an update on that original question, that essentially will move that email back to the top of the inbox for Graduate Studies. Graduate Studies is doing their best, I'm assuming, to answer emails chronologically as the oldest email. So if they've received emails and they're answering 3-4 days out, your email will be moved back to the top, so you might wait even longer for that. So as Sue mentioned, patience is virtue right now. It's key. And so we really appreciate that. And we will certainly get to your question. We won't leave you unanswered, but we might need a bit of an extra time frame there. We're experiencing a high volume of emails right now.
And Jordan, just to jump in, I see another question there from Anonymous asking pretty much the same question. So yes, if you asked for the deferral last week, it's not going to happen immediately, unfortunately. Again, we are working with students that are starting in the fall. So it's just a process. So please be patient. Hopefully before the end of August, beginning of September, you will hear. Remember, the winter term does not start until January, so we still have quite a bit of time to get you situated.
Yeah, and Jordan, I just want to jump in and talk about undergraduate deferrals. For most programs at the undergraduate level, the offer letter is actually good for both fall and winter. So as an example, your offer letter would be good for fall, September 2020, as well as winter, January 2021. This is for most programs. It is important to consult your offer letter to make sure. But if you want to defer a full academic year into the following September 2021, I'll post the deferral link in the chat below.
Thanks,
but many students
Patrick.
might not need to do that, is my point.
Awesome. Alrighty, so I'm just going through and filtering. I know we received a question from Naomi. It was quite detailed in registration processes and requesting special permission to get into certain classes. Naomi, I certainly encourage you to reach out directly to us and one of our international student advisors. This question is best suited for our enrollment services team, who will be able to assist you directly with that registration process. Unfortunately, I can't advise exactly on this situation. They'll need to look into your full academic history, all that sort of stuff. So once again, I encourage you to connect directly with enrollment services. I'll have one of my colleagues, one of the, Patrick or Ichen, follow up with you right now and provide you with more information as to how to reach out to our enrollment services team for registration purposes. So another question that we've received, it's a combination of a few that we've already received, but I'll kind of summarize it once again. It says, hello, I have deferred from fall to winter and I have not registered yet. How can I find my course outline and syllabus to be prepared for my graduate courses? So that's a great question. Based on the fact that you said for your graduate courses, your course registration, as Sue already mentioned, will happen after fall registration has closed, and then we'll be able to focus directly with our winter applicants, or winter deferrals, essentially. In that case, you will receive more information directly from your graduate coordinator after the course registration closes. And as Sue mentioned, that's going to be on September 21st that we close the registration. And you can anticipate more information the following weeks after that deadline. Sue, did you have anything to add with that?
Just also for students who are deferring to winter, keep in mind that we don't generally have a winter intake. So we are working very diligently to make this happen. So for the students that couldn't make it in the fall, we are working very diligently to make the winter term happen. It's just going to take a bit of time to get everything in place because it's not a usual process. So keep an eye on your Lakehead email and you'll have information on when you can register, when you're made eligible to register. Make sure you've made that confirmation deposit. If you haven't received your deferral letter yet, don't panic. They're coming. We have a great big list. We're working through them as quickly as we possibly can.
Thank you so much, Sue. The next question we received is there any webinar for tomorrow, i.e. Thursday? I haven't seen any notifications about that. So actually our Transition Thursday series has wrapped up. Last week's session was the last one for this summer. And we are, of course, focusing on different methods to communicate that transition for students who are joining us this fall, or even potentially this webinar series was also really great for students that are still technically preparing to join us this winter. So I encourage you to head over to our YouTube channel now. It's Lakehead University. Under the playlist Lakehead International Lives, you'll be able to review all of our Transition Thursdays, as well as almost all of our webinars in general for the past few months, at least since April. But of course, tomorrow's session won't be happening. Our next webinar will be on Friday. It's a Faculty Friday, and it is the Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies. It's a rebroadcast of a previous webinar, so we'll be behind the scenes answering questions live, but it won't technically, the video feed itself won't actually be live. And then that will wrap up our Lakehead International Live series. But at the end of today's session, we'll definitely chat a bit about how we're going to stay connected with you, how you can best reach out to us and communicate with us, that since we won't technically be live every day at 10 a.m. The next question I'll pass over to Patrick is with regards to IB and the International Bachelorette Program.
Yeah, so the question is, how many IB points does a student need to apply to Lakehead? It's really simple. You need 24 total IB points, and you may need certain prerequisite subjects. You will need 3 higher level and 3 standard level courses to qualify you for the IB diploma. The good news is we do count the theory of knowledge and extended essay bonus points, and our IB scholarships start at 28 total points. So depending on your grades and your TOK and extended essay, you may qualify for scholarship at 28 points. If you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to our admissions team by emailing the web address on your screen right now.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And the next question we have is, I've deferred my admission to winter, and soon will be starting my visa process through the SDS scheme. So I need to pay the tuition fee for the first year, and they've clarified that their tuition fee that they'll be paying is the Masters of Science in Computer Science. So the document that they received with their offer letter, so that's their letter of acceptance or their offer of admission, states that their tuition is going to be 24,000 Canadian. On the website, it shows that it is a different amount for each term. So just to clarify, depending on when you received that offer letter, it may have been using the previous academic schedule fees. That's what we do. We determine our fees typically each year in the beginning of March, and then they're fully published by May. And then some of those offer letters could be potentially updated. If you do have the old fees, please refer to our website. The website is the most up to date with regards to fees for the 2020 and 2021 academic year. You can still make those tuition payment fees even without registering. As you mentioned, you did defer your admission to winter. So you can still make that full tuition payment fees even without registering. And that's what our immigration officers here will need to see, that you've made those investments, or that payment, pardon me. If you do need assistance with the SDS scheme, or if you have any questions, you can always connect with our immigration advisor, Jennifer Hay. Her email is immigration.intl@lakeheadu.ca, and she'd be happy to connect with you, even potentially set up a one-on-one meeting with you and kind of walk through some of the different steps, because SDS is more intense in the material that you are required to submit, but also we do see more approval rates within there. So it looks like we've answered most of the questions. So I'll remind our viewers If you do have any other questions, please submit those. If you're joining us over on our Zoom platform, you can use the Q&A function to submit now. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, you can comment on that video. We'll either have that question fed over to us over here on Zoom, or we'll answer and comment back to you directly. If you are watching this as a recording, you can certainly you can certainly comment on the video and we'll get the notification and we'll be happy to get back to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, I believe that it's probably best to maybe show you how to navigate our website, and this is preparing you for, well, we're not necessarily online with our live webinars every day at 10. You can still stay connected with us, and I'll walk through some of those different steps in just a moment here. Alrighty, so as for those viewers, I now have my screen sharing to the Lakehead International live website. So if you go to lakeheadu.ca/international, that is our website for all future and current international students, as well as students that are pursuing potentially study abroad opportunities, our English language center, all that sort of stuff. Being that we are focused on our future students today, I'll dive into some of the COVID-19 resources that we do have for future students. So when you land on this page, you can explore this page. You can connect with our social medias here. You can watch some of our videos as well as hear from our students. So our Student Voices section has undergraduate, graduate, academic English program, as well as study abroad voices. So these are direct testimonials about our student experiences here on campus. As I mentioned, though, I'll dive into the future student resources. So if you click on the tab at the very top, you're brought to the Future International Students section for COVID-19. The first page here is our one-on-one virtual counseling. So I'll click into that and I'll show you and chat a bit about this. So you do have an opportunity to book one-on-one online appointments with our recruitment advisors in your region at a time that is convenient to you, which is, I think, is the most important. You don't have to stay up late or in the middle of the night meet with someone in Canada, and vice versa. We don't have to stay up in the middle of the night to meet with you at a time that's convenient to you, because we do have recruitment advisors all around the world currently meeting with students. The best part here is that you also get to sort those advisors by your region. For example, I will do this because we do have Patrick on today's session. I will sort to one of his countries. He does advise for the Caribbean, Africa, as well as the Middle East. So if you're a student, for example, who is reigning from the Bahamas, you would sort your region to Bahamas, you would click submit, and you would see Patrick here pop up. Once you click on this book an appointment with Patrick, it will give you all of his available time slots in the upcoming days and potentially weeks. You can select one that's most convenient to you. One thing I will note, make sure that you do have the proper time zone set, so then you know exactly when you'll be meeting with them in your local time, so that there's no confusion with missing that meeting. On top of that, you'll be able to fill out your cell phone number or your mobile phone number to get reminders as to when that meeting is about to begin. This is a great opportunity to connect with any one of our recruitment advisors around the world. You can chat with them about admissions, scholarships, programs, tuition, residence, student life, and so much more. It's really great to have that one-on-one personal conversation with them. Going back now to the previous page, as we've mentioned, the Lakehead International Live series is going to be wrapping up at the end of this week. You'll see here that we do have our registration for our Faculty Friday, one of the last sessions. We do have our entire archive here, where you'll be able to see all of the sessions that we've hosted from now back until the beginning of April. Going back, I'll show you a few other sections. We do have quite a few of our favorite videos that will give you a good broad overview of Lakehead University. So our Welcome to Lakehead video is probably one of our favorites. So we're really proud of it. And then we do have our Choosing Canada, Choosing Lakehead video, which will highlight some of our student testimonials and why they choose Lakehead and why they love Lakehead. We also have our Lakehead Celebrates video, which talks about how we celebrate culture and diversity here on campus. And last but not least, if you are a student who maybe doesn't meet our English language proficiency requirements at either the undergraduate or graduate level, you can certainly explore that video, learn more about the AEP program, and that's the Academic English program that preps you to join an academic program here on campus. But also for students who might be interested in short-term English programs, improving their English skills, IELTS, all that sort of stuff, you can learn through that video as well. The next tab here is the online virtual tours, where you get to explore either one of our campuses. This is a great opportunity for you to see Aurelia and Thunder Bay, but from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to download any sort of app. It's all hosted through the web, and you can explore the facilities, what the campus looks like, the residents, labs, all that sort of stuff. It's very exciting to see some of the facilities and also the environment that we get to work in every day. I think that once you get a chance to actually see our campuses, you'll also be set on Lakehead University. And last but not least, here's our virtual fairs. So you get to meet Lakehead University online. We'll be updating this tab on a regular basis as we join more fairs, virtual fairs this fall. So if you haven't applied to Lakehead and you might be interested in joining us this winter or potentially even fall 2021, you might want to meet with one of our reps on one of these online fairs. Here's the perfect place for you to come and meet us. Last but not least, at the very bottom, you see quite a few social media. So we do have our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, our WeChat, our YouTube, and our Youku channel. We're also on Weibo in China, so you can check us out on any one of those platforms and learn more about Lakehead University, and also connect with us and chat with us on there. Heading back, I'll check out the Q&A to see if we've received any questions in the meantime. Looks like we haven't received any questions quite yet. No worries, I can power through and keep chatting about some of the other resources that we do have. For students that are potentially still looking to join us for this fall 2020 semester, you do have a few weeks to join us here. And given the fact that it is primarily online, it's not too late to begin your studies or even potentially get admissions into the fall semester, especially for our undergraduate students. For graduate studies, all of our programs have closed. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Sue. For fall 2020, all of those applications have closed now, and we are refocusing on our winter applications.
That's correct, Jordan.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Alrighty, so I'm just going to reshare my screen and head back to the PowerPoint. So I'll leave this one up just for a second here. And we do have our undergraduate admissions officer joining us now. So for any students that may have an undergraduate admissions questions, feel free to ask those questions now. Otherwise, I do see a new question coming up, so I'll check that one out right there. So this question is, as the orientation for fall is going to be online, can students from winter intake attend if it's online? That's a really great question. Quite honestly, I'm not too sure what the answer to that one is. I would certainly encourage you to connect directly with our International Student Services team. So if you email studentlife.intl@lakeheadu.ca, I'll get one of my Lakehead experts behind the scenes to send that in the chat there on Zoom. You can certainly connect and ask if you'll be able to join any of those sessions. If any of them are hosted online via a live webinar on maybe a Facebook live stream or an Instagram live, I absolutely encourage you to join those sessions. Check it out, see what it's all about. Many of the orientation programming is focused on students that are either joining in person in fall, or if they're online in their home country. It's focused to actually starting those studies, connecting each other as a cohort. That's not to say though that winter we will certainly have another orientation session that's quite similar for our new students joining this winter, so stay tuned for that. That will be released, I'm sure, in the coming months as we approach January 2021 closer. For students that are joining us though this fall, orientation is online, as the student has brought up, and has been open for a few weeks now. So it opened up in July, if I'm not mistaken, the beginning of July, and you can access a 5-part online orientation series. This is modules that you can complete at your own pace. So you get to do it as quick or as slow as possible technically. Of course, towards the end of August and beginning of September, we will have more live sessions where you'll actually get to join, maybe turn on your webcam and your audio, meet fellow students in your program, but also meet fellow students that are joining from your home country and just joining Lakehead University in general. there's going to be quite a bit of live programming or asynchronous programming that's happening at the beginning of September and throughout the first 6 weeks of your online experience at Lakehead University. There's quite a bit planned, which we're really excited for. So the next question we have is from Naomi. It says, I understand I am an undergraduate, and if this is the final year for me to obtain the credits needed to graduate, do I need to apply for the graduate information for this coming June? Would I speak to the contact at welcome@lakeheadu.ca about this? That's a really great question, Naomi. If you are a current Lakehead University student and you're entering into your final year of study, graduation intent, so that intent statement where you acknowledge you do plan on graduating this spring, will typically come out in the new year. So look for updates in January, February, and March 2021 for the graduation intent. It will be posted on the homepage of your MyInfo typically. As a graduating student or as a final year student, you will also most likely receive email updates. I recently graduated from Lakehead University a little over a year ago, so I just went through this whole process. It's very important that you fill out that graduation intent, which allows our enrollment services team in Student Central to review your full student file and make sure that you do meet your program requirements and your academic requirements in order to graduate successfully. If you have any questions though, if you want to make sure that all of your courses are aligned and you're not going to miss anything, you're not going to fall short by any credits, you can certainly meet with our Student Central team. They are doing both virtual meetings. I haven't quite heard of if they're going to be doing in-person meetings for students that are here in Thunder Bay or in Orillia. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I would absolutely encourage you to schedule a virtual meeting with our Student Central team, or at least send them a few emails and ask if they can help you review that to make sure that you do you're aligned for that graduation later on this spring. And congratulations for completing the program. So it looks like we've answered most of the questions so far. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to pass it over to Natalie in Undergraduate Admissions. As I've mentioned, this is the last Wednesday weekly of the Lakehead International Live Series for the summer. That's not to say I know that we will be back in a few short weeks, or at least I will be back in a few short weeks with some new live webinar series and new programming. But I'll pass it over to Natalie to briefly chat about how students who either are joining us this fall, are currently waiting for updated admissions, or who have deferred their offers potentially to winter. As well, the last caveat there is students that haven't applied yet who might be joining in a future intake date. How can they stay connected with undergraduate admissions, and how can they connect with admissions officers?
Great, thanks so much, Jordan, for passing that over to me. So undergraduate admissions, our applications do remain open for the fall semester, as well as our applications for the winter 2021 cycle semester are currently open on our undergraduate application. So if you have not applied for either the fall or the winter semester, we encourage you to do that as soon as possible. We do assess applications on a rolling basis. So once you've submitted your application, you will receive login information to Lakehead's MyInfo account. And once you log in, you'll be able to upload your documents. Once your documents are uploaded, one of our international admissions officers will review your application for admission. And if you are granted admission, then we will release an offer to you and you will be notified through email. If you do have a fall offer and you are planning to attend in the winter semester, we do ask that you send us an email at intl.admission@lakeheadu.ca. We do need to ensure that you have met your admission conditions. You are still required to meet your admission conditions on the date listed on your letter of acceptance. So please do that if you have not yet met your admission conditions. But if you are planning to start in the winter, please ensure that you are letting us know so we can flag your file.
Awesome. Thanks so much for chatting about that, Natalie. And we did receive a question, when will you begin these Wednesday lives again? Quite honestly, we haven't determined exactly what the webinar schedule for this fall is going to be and exactly what the programming is going to be. So it might not be exactly a Wednesday weekly. I can guarantee, though, we will be live on webinars this fall to answer questions related to admissions, programs, tuition, scholarships, residence, all things Lakehead. We will be live to communicate with you as well. Our recruiters who are around the world right now will be participating in a very large amount of virtual events, as well as potentially in some certain countries, there might be opportunities for them to do in-person visits or fairs. That's to be announced, of course. So the thing right now is I always encourage our students to stay connected with us on our social media channels. If you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram, join us. We're at Lakehead International. Something else that's a reminder is if you want to hear from us and get regular updates and make sure you see every single post, you can turn on post notifications. So every time we post, you'll get a notification. You can check it out quickly, see if it's relevant to you. See if it's something you want to learn more about, read about. We're posting all sorts of stuff on social media, so I always encourage our students to head over there. We're very excited, of course, to launch another webinar series in the fall and then have many more opportunities to stay connected with Lakehead. But to go back to the original question, we don't necessarily know that it will be a Wednesday weekly with both admissions teams. That's not to say, though, as we've already talked about, you will easily be able to connect with our admissions teams both at the undergrad and graduate level. And that's a beautiful segue into the next part. I'll pass it off to Sue in graduate studies to chat to our graduate studies students who, again, could be joining us this fall, who have deferred to winter, who have yet to apply. Sue, how can they best connect with graduate studies and ask questions?
The best way to connect with graduate studies right now is via gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. We also have our own social media channels that you can search for. They are, what's the best way to find them is probably a search. I think most of them are just Lakehead Graduate Studies is the handle. So that would be also a good way to know what's going on and what's happening. For fall students, I hope most of you are kind of in line to be registered. If you're not ready to be registered, if there's still some glitches, please email gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. That email is monitored all the time, Monday through Friday. So if you email me personally instead, say if I go on vacation, then I wouldn't want your inquiry to be held up just because I'm away from my desk for a while. So for winter deferrals, again, I will reiterate that we really appreciate your patience. We're working as hard as we can to get this new term open because of the COVID situation. This term generally isn't open, mostly for computer science programs. So I know that you are anxious to get those letters, and we are working on them as soon as we possibly can to get them out to you. Lastly, just keep in mind that your Lakehead University email is the best way to email us to communicate. We don't generally like to share private information to a Gmail account or a non-Lakehead account. So if you are emailing us, make sure you email us from your Lakehead University email and with your student ID. That helps us to get back to you much, much quicker. Oftentimes we have to email back and say, I'm sorry, I can't find your file. What is your student ID? Because oftentimes your name that is attached to your email might not be the name that is on your Lakehead file. So please monitor your Lakehead email. If you have any questions, email us from your Lakehead email with your student ID. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for clarifying, Sue. The next question we have is from an anonymous attendee. It says, I'm a future graduate student for the fall term. I just wanted to know, what are the steps after registering for courses? And so I can speak a bit to that. I don't know, Sue, you might want to jump in and add to it. After you've registered for your fall courses, you want to make sure that you've made your tuition payments. So if you've registered weeks ago, your tuition payment deadline was August 15th. So certainly connect directly with our accounts office or review your student accounts and your MyInfo to make sure that you can make that payment as soon as possible. If you've just recently registered, you will have a few business days after that registration to make that payment towards tuition. But again, you want to do that as soon as possible. The next step after that, and something that I would encourage you to do, is hop onto your MyInfo account, access your My Course link or your D2L, Desire to Learn, and that's where our online orientation modules are. If you head over to lakeheadu.ca/students/orientation, you can also learn plenty about how you're going to join Lakehead's community and all the different resources we have available. But as I mentioned, that course link is an online 5-part series of different modules of how you can prepare to join the Lakehead University community and start in an online semester this fall. I don't know if there's any other steps too you might want to encourage. I know she mentioned following social medias from Graduate Studies. I would encourage that as well. As she said, the handle is Lakehead Graduate Studies. So we do have another question. Can you please explain more about how we can see post notifications? So that's a really great question. So if you turn on post notifications, whether it's on our Instagram channel or our Facebook channel, provided that you have, for example, your notifications turned on to your home screen of your phone. If you have a smartphone and you get notifications directly from Instagram or Facebook right on the home screen. So for example, you get a follow request, a friend likes your post, someone comments on your post. If you get that right to your home screen, if you turn on post notifications, you will also get a notification as soon as we post saying Lakehead International is posted, check it out, and all you have to do is click on it, swipe on it, whatever your phone needs, and it'll open our post directly. You get to view it immediately and check it out, see if it's relevant to you. It might not necessarily be an update on maybe the delivery method or something out of upper administration for the university, but we certainly hope that it's something that you might be interested in learning more about. We always publish news articles where our faculty members and our staff are doing amazing things in the community. They're being funded large sums of money to do important research for around the world, but also we're sharing stories of our current students and how you can get involved as a future student as well. If you need to know more about exactly how to turn on post notifications, I can't walk through the exact process for every platform. It is different for every platform. So what I encourage you to do is simply head over to either YouTube, or if you're in China, you can head over to Youku and you can Google or search, pardon me, how to turn on post notifications on said platform. So search how to turn on post notifications for Instagram. I'm sure there's plenty of tutorial videos out there or a step-by-step at exactly how to turn on post notifications. As well, on all of those social medias, I know that typically they have a knowledge base or a common FAQ section within their own website. So Instagram.com, I'm sure, has an FAQ of how to turn on post notifications. You'll want to turn them on for Lakehead International. Our channels focus on the international students. We share stories for future students, current students. We also talk about study abroad, English Language Center, but most importantly, our information is very specialized and specific to international students. There are a few more processes compared to a domestic student, a Canadian student joining Lakehead University. We post about immigration, we post about study permits, traveling to Canada, and of course, we put all that information to our audience of international students, so you'll want to make sure you follow our channels. But also you can check out My Lakehead, the main university's channel, and we do post, they post regular updates about programming and whatnot here on campus. So the next question we got is it okay if I email through my Gmail account that has been communicating with the university and has received the admissions letter? So as Sue mentioned, we do prefer as a university through our admissions team that you do communicate with your Lakehead email. It allows us to know that it's you, the student who's applied, communicating directly with us. And so we can share that information with you. If you do use your personal email, as Sue mentioned, please make sure you include, in either case actually, either email you're using, include your student ID and potentially your full official name that you would have included on your application, so that we're able to pull up your admission file easily and there's no back and forth. If we have to email you back and say, we weren't able to pull up your admissions file or locate your file because we don't have enough information on your name or your student ID, it adds probably an extra day or two, maybe even, to that answer that we're hoping to get to you sooner than later. As Sue though mentioned though, we do prefer the Lakehead email just because it is our email account and it helps us track it more easily. It also ensures that we are communicating directly with the applicant. Looks like we've answered all the questions, so I'll hang out for just a minute here and we'll see if we receive anything else. In the meantime, I know I've probably talked about this maybe too much, but I'll chat once again about our social media channels. We are on Facebook, Lakehead International. I'll take a pause here to chat about a group that we have on Facebook. It's called the Incoming Class of 2020. It's where all of our incoming students that have a Facebook channel and who have joined that group have been already communicating. They're helping each other answer questions. They're meeting each other, meeting peers within their class, but also they're meeting friends that they don't even know that they have back home in their home country. So that's always exciting to see those conversations happening. I've also seen a few people posting about when they do join us here in Orillia or Thunder Bay. They're talking about residents, they're talking about roommates, all that sort of stuff. So that's a great group to get started in. And I'm sure that you'll be happy you've joined after that. So once again, head over to our Facebook page, Lakehead International. And then once you're there, you'll see our groups. It's called the Incoming Class of 2020. We also have Instagram, Lakehead International. So we post regular posts there, stories there. Every once in a while, we do Instagram Lives, and I'm sure we'll see some Instagram Lives this fall. So make sure to head over there and follow us on that channel. We're on Twitter, Lakehead INTL, and we're on YouTube, Lakehead University. The first playlist that we have dedicated for international audiences is just Lakehead International. It's a great way to learn about Lakehead University, but also hear from some of our current students, our past students, our alumni, and you really get to hear directly from them about their Lakehead experience and their journey here on campus. Our other channel is the Lakehead International Lives playlist. And that playlist is focused around all of the recordings to these webinars. So if you've missed some of our Transition Thursdays or our Faculty Fridays, Monday meetups, all these amazing events that we've been hosting on a regular basis, if you want to go back and watch some of those, most of our recordings are already published there online, and you can check out that playlist to learn more. So then we do have a comment from our Facebook page that says, "Hi, I recently graduated from Fanshawe College in Canada in construction project management. I would like to continue my study here in Canada. Do you have admission spot left for September intake? I'm in London, Ontario." Great question. Absolutely, we do have admissions open. It sounds like because you do have a postgraduate diploma yes, a diploma from a college, you would be looking to enter one of our undergraduate programs. We do have Natalie here in undergraduate admissions. Natalie, could you chat briefly about college transfers, and maybe the student might want to reach out and directly connect with us, as we have a few weeks to review your admissions files and hopefully get you started for our September intake.
Hi, thanks for your question. However, I do believe it's possible you are interested in graduate studies, since you've been doing a postgraduate diploma. However, if you are interested in undergraduate studies, all of our applications for fall are still open, except for our nursing program. So if you are interested in any of our undergraduate programs other than nursing, you are more than welcome to submit your application at this time.
Awesome. And what I will encourage that student to do, give me a second, I'll switch screens here and I'll go back to our Lakehead International webpage. Oops, I've done the wrong one, my apologies. Alrighty, so we're here on the Lakehead International landing page. I'll remind our viewers once again, it's lakeheadu.ca/international. If you click at the very top, COVID-19 resources for future international students, you'll be connected to this page. For this student who's interested in potentially exploring some of our programs, joining us from a college here in Canada and continuing their education either in Orillia or Thunder Bay, I encourage you actually to book a one-on-one virtual counseling session. And we do have Patrick here on the call today, and I'm sure he would be happy to book a one-on-one virtual counseling appointment. If you would prefer to book someone in your home region, so wherever you reign from, wherever you are from, you might want to book a call with one of our recruitment advisors there. Of course, though, they are in country, so the time difference, since you did say you are already in Canada, might be significant. At that point, the best thing I could suggest is sorting your region to Canada here. And once you click submit, you'll actually be able to book directly with Jason Chen. He is our international recruitment coordinator. He's based in Toronto, Canada. and he'd be happy to meet with you, chat about the program. If you would like to chat with even Patrick, although he might not necessarily be your in-country career recruitment advisor, you can certainly do one of that. So I would encourage you to select a country from Africa, Bahamas, or Middle East. You'll be able to connect with Patrick right away. So one last chance, I'll check the Q&As. Looks like we haven't received anything. So I will thank everyone for joining us today. Although we won't be live tomorrow for Transition Thursday, I hope any of our viewers in the Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies join us this Friday for a rebroadcast of a live webinar with them. Without further ado, I'll wrap up this session now, and thanks again for joining us, folks. Bye for now.